Okay, so today is Thursday, the 24th of September. Good afternoon, Mr. John. 24th of September 2024, and it's just 12:34 p.m. Lagos, Nigerian time. Good afternoon, Abasid. All right. Now, we have a lot of fundamental events this afternoon, especially from the United States. We have the final GDP quarterly unemployment claims, core durable good orders, final GDP price index. That's about 5 events simultaneously by 1:30 p.m. Then by 2:30 p.m., the Fed Chair Powell is going to give a speech. And by 3 p.m., the European Central Bank Governor, President Lagarde, will give a speech. 3 p.m., pending home sales, and 4:15 p.m., Treasury Secretary Yellen will give a speech. Now, the focus for now is the 1:30 p.m. news, and there are 5 of them that will run simultaneously. Now, we're not going into details on each of them. We'll just group them all together and look at the possibility of the outcome. Then we'll go on the technicals to see what we have technically ahead. Now, if the news comes out good for the dollar, good for the dollar could be actual greater than forecast for some. For unemployment claims, good for the dollar means that it actually is actually less than the forecast. But then we just use the colors to represent all of them. So if you have a scenario by 1:30 p.m. where we have green all through, that means the data is good for the dollar, and we expect the dollar to be bullish afterwards. Dollar, I mean USD/JPY, USD/CHF, or USD CAD is expected to be bullish if the news comes out good for the dollar. Now, if on the other hand, the news comes out bad for the dollar, the data will be in color red. And if it happens across board like that, that will lead to a massive bearish movement on the dollar. Now, some of the news are not so related. Like we have final GDP, unemployment claims, core durable goods, GDP price index. Some of them are not so related. So it's possible that we could experience some conflict in data. Some might be green and some might be red. And if we have such a scenario, that will actually lead to a spike where there could be a buying and selling simultaneously. And it's also possible to have some to be green and some black, or some red and some black. In which instance, if you have a green and a black, the market will be bullish, but will not be so bullish compared to if we have green all through. And the same thing will happen on the other side. If we have some red and some black, the market will be bearish, but not as bearish as if we have a red all through. So what we are to expect from this fundamental is if the news comes out good for the dollar, a green all through, we're buying the currency pairs aforementioned, that is the USD/JPY, USD/CHF, or USD CAD. Or if the news turns out bad for the dollar, we're selling USD/CHF, USD/JPY, or USD CAD. I'll flip down to the MetaTrader to look at what other setup we might expect ahead of this news release. Now, the dollar index is not giving us much clarity, though price is trading around the weekly support. But aside that, we don't have much clearer direction for the dollar index. Price is just on this support level. So if the news comes out good for the dollar, we might expect some, bullish movement from that region upwards. And for the USD/CHF, the USD/CHF is actually trading within a range. You can see we have a resistance up there and a support. So we cannot neglect the fact that yesterday candle, though in a range on the daily time frame, still give us a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. So if the news comes out with a bullish engulfing pattern, if the news comes out good for the dollar, we might expect some slightly bullish movements. So and now it now depends on the volatility. If the news is able to break this resistance level up there, then we'll have a further continued bullish movement on the dollar. Otherwise, if the news comes out bad for the dollar, price is expected to target this support level, which is just, let's see, just about it was on 45 pips away from the current price level in the market as we speak. So price can go either ways. If it goes bullish, price will target the resistance and may break it. Otherwise, we may have a bearish movement that will target just the support level. But my focus this afternoon is going to be the Euro USD. Now, Euro USD on the daily time frame price actually hit the resistance level earlier this week. And on 4 hour, we have a rising wedge pattern information. If the news comes out good for the dollar, then that will lead to a very sharp decline in price on the Euro USD. And technically, the major thing we're looking at is actually a bullish movement for the dollar. Though we know it's possible to have a bearish one, but for those things to be stronger at the moment. So if the news comes out good for the dollar, then it will be an opportunity to sell the Euro USD, which is looking really bearish at the moment. Now, the news also may affect a pair like the AUD USD. The AUD USD is also looking bearish, from the weekly time frame down to the daily and 4 hour. What we're seeing is a bearish setup on the AUD USD. Though currently there's a retracement, there's a massive retracement ongoing. But then if the news comes out good for the dollar, from this confluence point, we're expecting the possibility of a reversal in price on the AUD USD. So we're bearish also on the AUD USD, just like the Euro USD. Likewise, the GBP USD also, there's a bearish setup right from the weekly to the daily and down to the 4 hour time frame on the GBP USD. For the GBP USD, you can see that yesterday candle on the daily also closed as a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, around a confluence of a resistance and a trend line from the weekly time frame. So if the news comes out good for the dollar, then we expect price to break out in the bearish direction on the GBP USD. And that's from this point here, we are expecting a decline. You can see we have a rising wedge pattern up there. And this other pattern here is forming a head and a shoulder. So if the news comes out good for the dollar by 1:30 p.m., then we're expecting a crash in GBP USD. And finally, we have the New Zealand USD. So in essence, if the news comes out good for the dollar, you can either sell the Euro USD, the GBP USD, the AED USD, and finally the New Zealand USD. So the New Zealand USD also is trading in the rising wedge on 4 hour with a formation of a head and shoulder. So if the news comes out good for the dollar, we're expecting a decline also on the AUD USD. So these are the 4 major setups I'm looking at ahead of this news. But what will trigger the trade on them is specifically if the news comes out good for the dollar. If the news comes out bad for the dollar, personally, I will be staying out because most of the pairs I'm looking at is indicating the possibility of the news being good for the dollar. They will have those pairs reversing into a sell. And that's largely because the dollar is a quote currency on the pairs I mentioned. For the Euro USD, for example, the dollar is a quote. So if the news comes out good for the dollar, we expect Euro USD to sell. The same thing, if the news comes out good for the dollar, we expect GBP USD, AED USD, and New Zealand USD to sell. So that's the setup I have for us this afternoon as we approach the fundamental release by 1:30 p.m. Now, Mr. Macaulay is asking me to check GBP AUD. Now, for GBP AUD, I think there's a symmetrical triangle. I've checked it multiple times. We have a symmetrical triangle information on the GBP AUD, and price seems to be approaching the lower part of this symmetrical triangle. Now, it's a 4-hour setup, so I will encourage you to wait till 2 p.m., to know the next thing to do. If by 2 p.m., this current candle is completely below that trend line, not just below the trend line, you can see that there's a minor support here, So if a new candle can open clearly below this line that I've just drawn, then you can trigger a sell on GBP AUD, and you may target the next support level as the take profit level. The reason is because of GBP AUD, if price breaks upward, it's a buy. If it breaks out downwards, it's a sell. And what we are seeing currently is price trying to break out downwards, but it's on the condition that a new candle opens below this current support level, which is the blue line I drew. So by 2 p.m., if you have a new candle below that, then you can trigger a sell trade and target the next support level, and that can give you on the average about 70 pips in profit thereabout. DJ30, Mr. Raju. Okay, DJ30 went in line with our analysis, I think yesterday. It broke that, rising wedge downwards. But that was for the analysis of yesterday. Let's look at what is possible today. Okay, the possibility around the DJ30 today is this. We still have that trend line from the daily time frame, which has led to the decline on, I think, yesterday. We may still have that bearish movement, but this is what I think should happen. We have that trend line again from the daily. This is what we have on the 4 hour. Okay, let's go down to 1 hour. Okay, either for 1 hour, any of them can work, or either of them can work. Now, price might just take this as a shoulder ahead, a second shoulder, and break out downwards. That's the first possibility. The second possibility is that price might also go up there to hit a resistance, then drop from there. So these are the two scenarios around DJ30. A breakout, an outright breakout, at which point this becomes a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and a breakout. Or price might still go back up to test the trend line up there as a kind of a resistance, then drop afterwards. But in either case, I hold a bearish outlook on the DJ30. AED-CHF and GBP card. Okay, I'll do AED-CHF first. All right, so this is AED-CHF, and on the weekly time frame, you can clearly see that price is trading around a support term resistance level. This is support. Price broke support, became resistance. Then we're looking for a bearish continuation. So we have a support term resistance on the AUD-CHF on the weekly and even the daily time frame. Now, the daily time frame, yesterday candle over there was a rejection candle. That tells us that price might be looking for an opportunity to reverse. And on the 4 hour, we have a rising wedge pattern. So we have a resistance on the weekly, support on resistance on the weekly time frame, which is also okay. On daily, we have a rejection candle, and on 4 hour, we have a rising wedge. All of them is pointing us into a bearish direction. So since price is now at the resistance level on the daily time frame, we might be anticipating a decline in price, which can give us an opportunity to place a sell on AUD-CHF. But I'll advise you wait for a new candle, which is usually called a breakout candle, to break out from within to outside of this pattern. And at that point, your RSI should be clearly below 50 before you trigger a sell on AUD-CHF. But technically, I'm bearish on AUD-CHF. GBP card, okay? So I've analyzed AUD-CHF. So we'll look at the GBP card. All right, so this is GBP card on the 4 hour time frame. Price is a resistance on the daily and the weekly time frame. And price actually broke out, to a bearish direction, but currently it looks like it's retracing. Now, I still hold, I think it's one of the instruments I posted earlier on Monday. Now, if this resistance zone is able to hold, then we should see a reversal again from that point if that level holds, if it holds, because at that point, I feel what the price is trying to do is trying to form a head and a shoulder pattern, then decline. So that's my base view for now. If price is able to, be sustained around this resistance level, though at the moment it looks like it's trying to break it, but let's just watch and see. If it does not break that level, then I'll expect a decline in the bearish direction. Otherwise, if price breaks that level, might be looking possibly at closing, But then for now, let's just wait and see what happens. There's nothing wrong with the setup technically. We have a resistance from the weekly time frame. There's a valid resistance on the weekly time frame, and also a descending trend line. Everything pointing us into a bearish direction. But sometimes some of these things can override market conditions. But let's just watch and see what happens to this one before we decide. I'm still bearish, but let's see what happens. USD okay, and Euro New Zealand. All right, so those will be the last two I will check. USD Now for the USD I held a bullish outlook at the beginning of the week, majorly for the dollar, and that is the same thing reflected on the USD Now USD started the week with a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern on the weekly time frame, and that is expected to have given us, some massive bullish movement. If you flip down to the daily, that's bullish engulfing pattern evolved into an inverse head and shoulder on the daily time frame, which is equally a bullish pattern. And on the 4-hour, we're still seeing it as, an inverse head and shoulder, which will still lead to, or let's say, which is expected to still lead to a bullish breakout. But then the emphasis this afternoon will be on the news by 1:30 p.m. There are 5 events. If all the news comes out good for the dollar, then we expect USD to continue going in a bullish direction, because that is what the weekly time frame candle is saying. Otherwise, if the news comes out, we have more of actualism past, there's the possibility of a decline on USD But generally, I still want to maintain the bullish outlook that I had, right from the beginning of the week. All right, that'll be all from my desk this afternoon. We hold the bullish outlook generally on the dollar, pending the outcome of the news. The news comes out good for the dollar, then we should look at selling either GBP USD, AED USD, Euro USD, or New Zealand USD. The news will come up roughly in about 40 minutes thereabouts. So let's, patiently wait and be ready for this trade. All right, that'll be end.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
you've forgotten. Yeah, you've forgotten Euro NZD.
Oh, apologies.
I think you said that was the last one you're going to.
Yes, that's an oversight. All right, so for the Euro New Zealand, I actually hold a bullish outlook. I've been watching this instrument since yesterday, but it's a swing setup. We have an uptrend on the weekly time frame, a support also on the weekly and the daily. The candle for yesterday closed as a bullish engulfing on the daily. So technically, all this is telling us to expect a bullish breakout. And on the 4-hour, you can see there's a falling wedge and an inverse head and shoulder is forming. So if price reverses up, then we can trigger a buy on Euro New Zealand. Though for me, the entry will be above this neckline region here. So if price is able to break out above this region, then I'll be ready to trigger a buy. So I'm bullish on the Euro New Zealand on 4 hour. It's a swing setup. So even if it triggers today, it might last till next week, but it will give good tips. So that'll be all. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful.
You're welcome.
Have a nice day.
You too.